Name's Ed. Lonesome Ed.
Sir, I will have to have a number.
Okay, 6 7/8. Just picked it out of a hat. If she doesn't want to talk, why does she work for the phone company?
Well, if that ain't just wacky, my boy Donald has finally discovered SEX.
Welcome to another show. Today, we're going to discuss Francis the Talking Mule versus Mr. Ed, a tale of two whimsical equines in American pop culture. American television and film have long enjoyed a penchant for quirky animal characters, but few have achieved the enduring fame and cultural impact of Francis the Talking Mule and Mr. Ed. Both characters, one a mule, the other a horse, became iconic for their uncanny ability to converse with humans, sparking laughter and delight across generations. Yet, while their similarities are evident, their stories, personalities, and legacies are distinct, each reflecting their unique times and imaginations of their creators. This essay delves into the curious rivalry and kinship between Francis and Mr. Ed, exploring their origins, on-screen adventures, character traits, and the reasons behind their lasting popularity.
Please promise him, sir, that he won't have to become a cadet. And what's wrong with becoming a cadet?
Nothing except you wind up a second lieutenant.
And what's wrong with white?
Hello, Mr. Darrow?
Mr. Eastwood, the reason I'm calling, we have a big feature coming up soon, and I thought you might be interested in the starring role.
It's a great script. Do you think you could get about 6 weeks off from your TV series?
Oh, 6 weeks? Well, I could sure try and manage that, sir.
But you couldn't afford me, you cheap old windbag.
Francis the Talking Mule made his debut in literature before trotting onto the silver screen. Created by author David Stern, Francis appeared in a series of books beginning in 1946. The curious premise centered on Peter Sterling, a bumbling but well-meaning Army lieutenant whose fortunes change when he befriends Francis, a mule with a remarkable gift of speech. Francis' voice, provided by actor Chill Wills, off-screen of course, was wry and sardonic, often serving as a foil to Sterling's naivete.
Cutting red loan me that, Miller.
Hey, this makes a fella want to stay put.
Now there's 4 more events out there. Get in and get after 'em. I'll keep the Miller cold.
Miller makes it right.
Universal Pictures brought Francis to life in the first film, Francis, released in 1950. The movie's success spawned 6 sequels, creating one of cinema's earliest comedic talking animal franchises. Francis would typically dispense sage advice, clever commentary, and pointed observations, steering Sterling through various misadventures and settings, ranging from the military to the circus.
But Francis is a mule. A regular mule with 4 legs and big wobbly ears, and he talks. But he's got more brains and a bigger heart than anyone I know. This court takes judicial notice that there is no such thing as a talking mule. There never has been, and there never will be, and there never... So would you please put Francis on the witness stand?
I couldn't. Why, I'd feel like talking to a mule.
And how'd you think I'd feel talking to a lawyer?
Now, there's no need for sarcasm.
You know, that's the smartest horse I ever saw.
Oh, he's not so smart. He forgot to touch second base.
Mr. Ed galloped onto American television screens in 1961 as the star of the sitcom Mr. Ed, created by Walter R. Brooks and produced by Filmways, inspired by Brooks' earlier talking horse stories, published in magazines in the 1930s and 40s. The show focused on Wilbur Post, an architect with a peculiar secret. His horse, Mr. Ed, could talk. Voiced by Alan Rocky Lane, Mr. Ed's speech was limited to Wilbur, leading to a parade of comic misunderstandings and hijinks. Mr. Ed quickly became a household name, running for 6 seasons and 143 episodes. The series was popular not only for its slapstick humor, but also for its whimsical take on friendship, trust, and the absurdities of everyday life. Francis is best described as a dry-witted, world-weary sage. His tone is more sardonic than silly, often poking fun at the foibles of the humans across him. Unlike Mr. Ed, Francis is the secret mastermind behind Sterling's success, offering advice and commentary that propel the narrative. He rarely seeks attention for himself and is content to play the role of silent partner, speaking only when necessary, and always with a knowing twinkle. Francis' humor is subtle and often laced with irony. He is the straight man to Sterling's comedic antics. This dynamic gave the Francis films a sense of understated cleverness as audiences came to anticipate the Mule's dry one-liners and the resulting chaos. Mr. Ed is, by contrast, playful, mischievous, and full of personality. He revels in the ability to talk, often causing confusion, embarrassment, and hilarity for Wilbur Post. Unlike Francis, Mr. Ed is the center of attention, constantly seeking ways to amuse himself and challenge Wilbur's patience. His voice is warm, engaging, and distinctly human, with a knack for wordplay and puns. The relationship between Mr. Ed and Wilbur is more of an odd couple than mentor and protege. Mr. Ed toys with Wilbur, getting him into and out of trouble in equal measure. This lively dynamic was a central draw for viewers, who delighted in the horse's antics and Wilbur's exasperation. The Francis films took the character to a variety of settings, each a vehicle for new comedic possibilities. From army barracks to racetracks, Francis and Sterling navigated the absurdities of bureaucracy, show business, and small-town life. The films balanced slapstick with satire, using Francis' voice as both comic relief and pointed social commentary. Francis' adventures were groundbreaking in a sense of realism. His ability to speak was always treated as a secret known only to Sterling. The humor sprang from the contrast between Francis' worldliness and Sterling's earnestness, as well as the chaos that ensued whenever others unwittingly encountered the pair. Mr. Ed's escapades were firmly rooted in the suburban world of Wilbur and his wife, Carol. The horse's antics ranged from answering the telephone to meddling in Wilbur's work and social life. Each episode revolved around the tension between Wilbur's efforts to keep Mr. Ed's abilities under wraps and the horse's growing desire to interact with the outside world. The sitcom format allowed for episodic storytelling with recurring jokes and themes. Mr. Ed's love of peanut butter, used as a trick to make the horse talk on camera, supposedly, we'll talk about that later, his penchant for mischief, and his penchant for heartfelt moments all contributed to the show's charm and longevity. Francis the Talking Mule was a trailblazer, setting the stage for future talking animal properties. The films were popular throughout the 1950s, grossing impressive box office numbers and cementing Francis' place in comedy history. The success of Francis opened the door for other animal-centric entertainment, including Disney's The Shaggy Dogs, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, and of course, Mr. Ed. Although Francis' humor was more reserved and less zany than latter talking animals, the franchise's influence on Hollywood is undeniable. Several spin-offs and imitators followed, but few matched the original's blend of wit and warmth. Between 1950 and 1956, there were 7 films in the series. The final film in the series, Francis in the Haunted House, was made without any of the key creative personnel. Leonard Maltin's movie guide states that O'Connor quit and Mickey Rooney replaced him as a new character. Director Lubin and Chill Wills were also absent, replaced by Charles Lamont and voice actor Paul Frees, who did a close approximation of Wilbur's voice.
Look, you all saw the ghost. That proves that I'm innocent.
It only proves you've got an accomplice. Francis, probably. Come clean. Was he the ghost?
Believe me, Francis could never ride a horse.
This is an election year. The opposition papers will crucify me.
Oh, what do you think they'll do if they're tipped you just lost a legal argument to a mule?
David Stern and Frank Thomas scripted a 1952-53 syndicated comic strip, Francis, the Famous Talking Mule, illustrated by Cliff Rogerson, who also drew the gag panel. TV laughs. 17 issues of Francis, the Famous Talking Mule were published as part of Dell's 4-color comic series from 1951 to 1960, illustrated alternately by David Gantz and Don Gunn. Francis appeared on the television show What's My Line, August 3, 1952. Mr. Ed's legacy is even more pronounced in the realm of television. The show became a staple of American pop culture, referenced in everything from cartoons to a late-night talk show. The theme song, A Horse is a Horse, of Course, of Course.
A horse is a horse, of course, and no one can talk to a horse, of course. That is, of course, unless the horse is the famous Mr. Ed.
Remains instantly recognizable, and Mr. Ed's persona, fun-loving, clever, and occasionally wise, helped shape the archetype of the talking animal sitcom star. The series aired 143 episodes from 1960 to 1966. The Mr. Ed Show concept was derived from a series of short stories by author Walter R. Brooks, which began with the talking horse in September 18, 1937, issue of Liberty magazine. Brooks is best known for the Freddy the Pig series of children's novels, which features talking animals that interact with humans. Author Lubin's secretary, Sonia Chernis, introduced him to the Brooks stories and is credited with developing the concept for television. The show's concept resembles that of the Francis the Talking Mule movies, in which an equine character talks to only one person, thus causing a variety of opportunities and frustrations. The first 6 Francis films, 1950 to 55, were also directed by Arthur Lubin. He wanted to make a Francis television series, but had been unable to secure the rights, so he optioned for the Brooks stories for television. Comedian George Burns financed the pilot for Mr. Ed, which was shot at his McCadden studio in Hollywood at a cost of $70,000. Scott McKay would play Wilbur in that. Jack Benny was also involved behind the scenes. Lubin was unable to sell the show to a network, so he decided to sell it into syndication. He managed to get the single-sponsored identification for the program on over 100 stations. The show was recast with Alan Young in the lead. Production began in November 1960, although Lubin did not direct early episodes because he was working in Europe on a film. The first 26 episodes were received well enough for the show to be picked up by CBS. Reports circulated during and after the show's run that the talking effect was achieved by crew members applying peanut butter to the horse's gums. Alan Young said in later interviews that he invented that story.
I said, well, when you were a kid, did you ever get peanut butter stuck under your lip? Oh, that's how it's done. So I never really lied. I used to ask him a question. But that wasn't true at all. Lester had a knack. He used a soft nylon thread put under the lip. And then he had the end going down the bridle. And he just give it a little tug. And Ed would try to get rid of it. That was his cue. And then he laid a crop across Ed's forelegs, and that was the cue to stop. But the second year, we could hardly stop him from talking. As soon as he heard my voice stop, his lips would start to go.
That's why Wilbur Pope moved his family out to this farm. My farm. By the way, I'm Mr. Ed. Man, I'm going to have my hoofs full with this one.
There was an unsuccessful attempt to reboot the series in 2004. Let's compare and contrast Francis versus Mr. Ed. First, the similarities. Both are talking equines who keep their abilities largely secret from the wider world. Both serve as companions to a single human protagonist, aiding them through life's challenges. Both stories rely on the comedic tension between the talking animal and the unwitting humans. Both characters have voices provided by well-known actors, becoming iconic for their vocal performances. And what about the differences? Well, Francis is a mule, while Ed is a horse, each with distinctive personalities reflective of their species' reputations. Francis's adventures span multiple films and settings, while Mr. Ed's are concentrated in a suburban sitcom format. Francis acts as a mentor and advisor, whereas Mr. Ed is a playful trickster. The tone of the Francis films is more understated and satirical. Mr. Ed is a broader, zanier, and more overtly comedic type of animal. Francis's communication is usually reserved for serious moments, while Mr. Ed delights in casual conversation and mischief. Now, why exactly do these characters endure? Well, the lasting appeal of Francis the Talking Mule and Mr. Ed stems from their ability to humanize the animal world and bring wonder to the mundane. Both characters tap into the fantasy of communicating with animals, a dream cherished by children and adults alike. Their quirky wisdom and humor offer comfort and escapism, transcending time and cultural boundaries. Moreover, Francis and Mr. Ed each represent the values of their eras. Francis's films, born of post-war America, reflect a desire for cleverness, resourcefulness, and stability. Mr. Ed's sitcom, emerging in the optimistic 60s, celebrates suburban life, friendship, and the joy of breaking rules. In conclusion, Francis the Talking Mule and Mr. Ed stand as titans of comedic animal entertainment. Their legacies intertwined, yet distinct. Whether you prefer the dry wit of Francis or the playful charm of Mr. Ed, both characters embody the magic of storytelling, where imagination turns ordinary creatures into extraordinary friends. Their influence persists in every talking animal that graces our screens, reminding us that sometimes the best wisdom comes with a wag of a tail or a swish of the tail and a knowing smile. And that was our show for today. What do you think? Were you a fan of Francis the Talking Mule? Mr. Ed? Did you like one over the other, both equally? Let me know all your thoughts on these talking equines in the comments section below. And while you're at it, I'd be honored if you subscribe to my channel, click the little bell to stay informed, and share this video, as that will help me grow on YouTube as well. Also, check out my Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter franchise, which is in the comments. Until next time, this is Kevin Gibbons saying, live long and prosper, may the force be with you, and keep reaching for the stars.